Hi, this is Rob Leo, and in this brief tutorial, we're going to continue to look at Google Sheets. In the previous tutorial, you saw me make a custom grade sheet. I used various functions and formulas to create a marking period average. Let's say I want to repeat this same sheet several times over for the entire year. And one of the things I can do is create a new workbook, or a new sheet to my workbook. So if I click the plus sign in the bottom of the screen, I have sheet 2. Let me go back to sheet 1. I'm just going to click the triangle to give it a new name. We'll call this marking period 1. Press enter on the keyboard. And what I want to do is basically highlight all the information I have so far. I'm just going to use a keyboard shortcut, Control C to copy. And on sheet 2, I'm going to place my cursor in cell A1, and I'm just going to press Control V and paste that information in. You'll notice that my column widths changed automatically, and I'm going to use that little trick of double clicking on each one of these cells to adjust the column width accordingly. I can read my stuff better. You'll notice that the columns are uneven based on the type of title that's in row 1, which is fine, no big deal. One of the things I could do is wrap text. So let's say in column F, for example, I want to wrap the text so I can adjust the column width and none of the text will disappear. I can see it all. This is the wrap text icon from the arrow going across. If you hover the mouse, it'll show you it's wrap text. I'll just wrap it. And now when I adjust the column width manually, you'll kind of see that adjust accordingly. You can do the same thing in column J. Wrap the text and adjust the column. And I'll do the same thing for columns M and N simultaneously. Just select them both, wrap the text, and then adjust accordingly. I want to call this marking period 2, so I'm going to rename it. And since I already have my formulae built in here, I just want to clear things out. So I'm just going to highlight all of the actual grades and press backspace on my keyboard to clear it. You'll notice that the column that represents the various averages is now gone awry. That's because there's no data. So as I enter data, let's say this kid got a 90, a 95, and an 87. But again, this should all apply. So as you enter your grades, it should happen automatically. I also don't want to confuse myself. I know I've got titles down here, marking period 1 and marking period 2. Let me go to row 1 and just insert a row above. In fact, let me do this one more time. I'm going to insert another row above. So now I've got 2 rows. I'm going to type in marking period 1 as a title. Press enter on my keyboard. This actually lives in cell A1, but I want to merge the cells together so that my marking period 1 title goes all along the top of the screen. So what I'm going to do is click on A1 and just press my mouse and hold it so I select all the way to column N. Right next to text wrapping, you're going to see right over here, merge cells, the 2 arrows kind of pointing in. You can merge them all. You can merge them horizontally, vertically, or unmerge. I'm just going to merge the cells. And now I'm going to select that cell. I'm going to center the text. I'm going to highlight it. And I'm going to make it bold. And I'll change the font to a larger size. That way I just kind of have an indication of what I have here. I want to clear the colors out of row 2, column F, J, M, and N. So I'm just going to press, I think it was to work with Shift on my keyboard. No, it won't. Now, let me try it anyway. I'm going to select all those, and under my fill color, I'm just going to reset it to none. Also want to make some grid lines. So let's say I want to have this as its own grid. Notice there are borders, and I'm just going to select the open one to make a border on that. And then right below, I'm going to highlight all those cells, and let's make a little grid so that all my data is separate into little grid spaces. I'm going to do the same thing in marking period 2. So again, I can click on column 1 just to review. I can insert a row above. I can do the same thing and do it again. Insert another row above. We'll call this marking period 2. Highlight the entire row all the way up to row N, and I'm going to merge them. I'm going to center them. I'm going to boldface it and make it a larger font size. Grid lines as well. in this case, let's take the whole table. We'll add grid lines. And then let's take just this row, and we will remove all of the internal borders and so forth, and we'll just, let's see, we'll click that once. That doesn't work. We'll remove them. We just re-add them with highlighting, and we'll make a single border. Just press backspace on my keyboard. Actually, that's not going to do the trick. I'm going to highlight all that stuff, and with the paint bucket, I'm going to reset it so there's no color as well. All right, so you can have as many workbook pages as you like, as many sheets as you like within. Again, naming it, you can change the name, you can add a star, you can do File, Share, or click the Share button to add your collaborators. Remember, the advanced menu has more options. If you want to change who has access, you can set this up so anyone with the link can edit, comment, or view, just like you can with the Google Doc. You can invite specific people. If that's the case, you simply add their email address, perhaps type a message, and give them whatever access you want to give them. Also, like a Google Doc, there's an add-on menu here. And under add-ons, I'm going to strongly recommend you get the Flubberoo add-on. It's the same process. You click Get Add-ons. Flubberoo is a great way to do a self-grading quiz. And what it will do is it will pair a Google form with a Google Sheet. The add-on actually goes onto the Google Sheet. You take your own quiz, your own form, and then you identify your answers, your row, as the one that's going to be the answer key, and it checks all the work against yours. It will create grade sheets for each student, and you can ship those back. This is great for multiple choice assessments. We'll talk about that later when we get into Google Forms. Like other Google stuff, you can rename it, you can make copies of it, you could see the revision history if you're collaborating, you can also download as Excel or a PDF. So pretty much a similar functionality. Of course, the comment button is here as well. One thing that does stand out that's relatively new, you can decide how you want your data to appear in the cells. Notice this is appearing in the bottom in terms of alignment. If I want it to be center aligned or top aligned, I could change it. Again, that will automatically change things as I go. I can also change the direction of the text. If I want it to be diagonal texts up, diagonal text down, vertical up, vertical down, and you can even make your own custom angles for how you want the text to appear within your cells. Again, relatively new feature. Anyway, hope you found this useful. Thanks for listening. And in the Google site, there is some great stuff for how to integrate Google Sheets. Even if you're not a typical spreadsheet user, there are great things you can do in terms of making educational games and flashcards for your students. I strongly recommend you take a look at those and try to apply them to your subject area and grade level. Thanks for listening, and I hope you found this useful.